The Menards Chevy Show. Our crew travels the country each week to find the best of the bow-tie breed. We're always on the lookout for radical restorations and the sensational stories behind them. And today's show features the cream of the crop. It's a look back on some of the coolest cars we've seen this season. Buckle up for the best of the Menards Chevy Show 2018 edition, presented by Original Parts Group. We kicked off our season in Orangeburg, South Carolina, and what a way to start. Great looking cars in every direction. First up, Benny Bennett and his 66 Chevelle, winner of the OPGI Original Award. How did you find this car?
I was actually in the process of looking for a 66 or 67 and run across this one about 3 years ago, I reckon. And I actually bought the car for resale purposes and ended up going in it a little bit too far and ended up doing a full frame-off restoration on the car. And during the process, it's kind of a funny story. My wife was super ready for me to get rid of the car as soon as it was finished. Once I got the car nearly completed, her mind started changing. And then after she rode in the car, now she don't want to get rid of the car. So the car's not for sale now. The interior of the car is almost identical to how it was in '66. The exterior is original other than the suspension. I do have all the original suspension still for the car. All the sheet metal on the car is original, except for one of the doors. We replaced an outer panel. In fact, we had gotten it from OPG.
How much of this car did you restore yourself?
About 95% of it. The only thing that I didn't do was build the engine. I have a good friend of mine that does all my motor work.
Let's talk about the engine. What's under the hood?
It's a 468 full bolt main, big block Chevrolet. It is fuel injected. It's probably got about 600 horsepower.
You pulled the original 396 from it.
Pulled the original 396 with the 400 turbo out of it, mainly because the later model engines are a lot more dependable. They actually, in my opinion, make more power.
What does it feel like driving a car like this and you're getting looks from people?
It's awesome, man. It's great. That's what makes people want stuff like this, is unless you've driven one, it's just incredible, you know, all the attention that it gets from people when you go to gas stations and you pull in there and all the conversations that it makes, you know, so it's a lot of fun.
This next car is brought to you by Zing T. It's a '68 Camaro owned by Marco de Cesaris, and it's naturally cool. Marco, let's start with the obvious. What makes this car unique?
It's the only silver Z28 that they built in '68, and it's painted '66 Cadillac Starlight Silver from the factory. So not only it's the only '68 Camaro that got painted silver, it's the only Camaro in the world that ever got factory painted Starlight Silver. I've owned the car 30 years. I'm the third owner. Bill Drivo's the original owner. He bought the car new as a street car, 488 gear. This car was ordered with 488s and a Cal induction, Cal Plenum air cleaner. And he drove it on the street a couple weeks, and his buddies talked him into racing it. And he raced it at Budds Creek, Maryland, and won 8 weeks in a row, so they turned it into a race car. After that, he set 105 national records with this car, and he won 25 points meets and 8 national events. And no other car has this record, and that in conjunction with the car's only got 1,900 miles on it, and just about every piece on this car is assembly line to this car, makes it a very, very unique car.
You went through great pains to make sure this car wasn't exactly perfect, right?
We did not restore the car. We refinished it, and we just blew it apart, put new paint on it, polished everything, put it back. Still has the factory flaws that you would have in a brand new car. We just wanted it to look like a new car that was old.
Thanks to Zing T for bringing us a look at a great car with a great story. Marco de Cesaris, your car is naturally cool. Now, how solid was the field at the Orangeburg show? Well, it actually netted 3 of our award winners, including a classic Camaro that captured the Rock Auto Restored Award. Oscar Drummings is the proud owner of this beautiful 1969 Camaro, and you got this thing, you've resurrected this from the ash heap. Tell that story.
Yeah, I bought it back in 2003, worked on it for 8 years, and did every bit myself, everything but the convertible top. I didn't put that on. I had a friend help me with that. But everything else, I did it myself, and it took me 8 years to do it.
How did you find this car?
Guy had it in a body shop. That body shop's supposed to be working on it for him, and he got mad, and guy had it for 6 years and never did anything to it, so I was just in the right place at the right time.
What made you look at this car and decide this is the one that I want to make it to a project?
I always had 69s. I had a hard top, and I loved 69, and I always wanted convertibles, and it's just hard to come by.
And when did you declare this thing to be done?
In 2011, I finished it up and took it to my first show and got best of show, so I figured I didn't have to do too much to it. But I ended up putting bigger wheels on it since I did it, and like I say, changed 5-speed.
First show, you were undefeated. You should have quit while you were ahead.
Yeah, I had won that, and I done had it since I finished it, probably 50 shows, and won something in every one of them. I ain't always been best of shows, but I won something.
You've got the Rock Auto Restored Award sitting here on the hood. How much do you rely on Rock Auto for what you put on this car?
I bought quite a few parts from Rock Auto, and they fast shipping, they do a good job, and that's the first place I look when I get ready to get something. The interior, I put a Covan dash and all in it, and got a console, believe it or not, come out of Acura. And it fitted right in there, but everything else was pretty much original.
How much do you drive the car?
Not a whole lot. I drive it probably on weekends. Me and my wife go get ice cream or something other. That's about it.
Nice going, Oscar. Congratulations on that gorgeous car, and congratulations on bringing home the Rock Auto Restored Award. We're checking out the cream of the Chevy crop from 2018, and we're just getting started. If you like Chevelles, we've got those and a whole lot more, as this special edition of the best of the Menards Chevy Show, presented by Original Parts Group, continues.
The Menards Chevy Show is brought to you by Chris Austin's Chassis Works, the home of higher technology. Z-Max, the one product for your engine, transmission, and fuel system. Scoggin Dickey Parts Center, your source for custom-built street-to-strip power. And by Original Parts Group, the world's largest source for GMA body parts and accessories.
Welcome back to the best of the Menards Chevy Show, presented by Original Parts Group, as we look back at some of the finest rides we've seen in 2018. The next stop on our tour takes us to Ennis, just outside of Dallas. And that's where we gave a Texas-sized salute to the winner of that event's OPGI Original Award. Well, Tim Lane was looking for a 1970 Chevelle, and he found it up in Kentucky. Now, Tim, everything was looking great until you got it home. What happened?
Well, I got it home and realized that this was not the car of my dreams. I was driving it home one night and definitely felt something going on with the transmission. Found out the clutch just blew up on me, so I limped it home. The next day, we took it apart. I thought, maybe I'll get that clutch put in it and we'll get back on the road again. That didn't work out that way. I'm too picky. So I tore this car completely apart and restored it to what you see today. It took about a year and a half.
What things on this car are original?
I guess you'd say the whole drivetrain is original. You know, we worked around that. It's an original SS numbers matching car. But as far as the original sheet metal, the only thing that was originally on the car was the roof and the floor pan. Everything else I've changed. Fenders, door skins, quarters, everything.
The story like yours, one that started with tragedy and ended in triumph, what does it feel like to come out smelling like a rose on that?
Well, I mean, I love the car. I've always loved the car since I was in high school. I've always loved the car. So to see the car finished and remembering what I remember as a kid, it's awesome. I love it.
What are your plans for the future?
Not sure. I love the car. I don't have any real plans to sell the car.
After all that, do you feel like it was worth it?
Oh, for sure. Look at today. It's a great day. Yeah. It's nice to see people appreciate what you've done.
When the car of your dreams needs some work, that's where Original Parts Group steps in. High quality parts and expert advice from the OPGI team. Texas Tim Lane went to OPGI.com, and Doug Yoder did the same. He was the winner of the OPGI Original Award at our next stop in Reading, Pennsylvania. How much of this car is original equipment?
The entire car. It's been taken down to the last nut and bolt and restored. Every part and piece has been restored on the car.
How much did you have to do to this car, and what kind of condition was it in when you got it?
It was terrible. The floors were gone, quarters were so-so, roof had some work done on it. It was pretty rough, and it only had 20,000 miles on. They left it sit in the yard and let the weeds grow up around it.
How do you find a car that's in that condition and think, well, this is something I can take and restore and make beautiful again?
It was rare, and you know, it was worthy of putting a little more time and money into it than, say, a regular 396 car. I can envision any car I can redo, but these are very rare, and you don't want to see them get lost.
How rare is this car?
They made 612 of the L78s, and there might be 10 existing with the original drivetrains.
How did you find this car?
Someone wanted me to authenticate it. He was thinking of buying it, and it was in Iowa, and I didn't hear from him for a while, and I emailed him and asked him, how'd you make out with the car? And he says, I thought it was too much of a project. I bought a Corvette. He said, but I'll give you the number. You know, you can call the guy. I said, well, I already have two. I'm really not looking for another one, but he should have never gave me the number, because in a couple of days, I was on my way out to get it.
Doug says he loves the great service from OPGI, along with the huge selection of parts they have for his classic Chevrolet. Congratulations to Doug Yoder, winner of the OPGI Original Award in Reading. Lots more to come as we look in the rearview mirror at the best of 2018, including a pair of Corvairs you're gonna love. They're both gorgeous, and one of them may be the only one of its kind you'll ever see. All that and more as the best of the Menards Chevy Show, presented by Original Parts Group, drives on. Welcome back to the Menards Chevy Show and the best of 2018, presented by Original Parts Group. We're always on the lookout for hard-to-find Chevrolets, and we are glad we found this one in Reading. It's unreal at any speed, and it's our first producer's pick.
When it comes to Chevrolets, Yenko conversions are the rarest of the rare, and these Yenko Stingers are what started it all for Don Yenko. And Joe, what makes a Corvair Stinger special?
Don Yanko's first car endeavor before building the 427 Camaros, Chevelles, and LT1 Novas, made a deal with Chevrolet, and they trucked in 100 white cars, black interior, just like this, and he converted them for deep production road racing. And after they were finished, the SCCA guy came in and counted them, and there was 4 missing. And he said, where's the other 4? He said, I sold them already. So he got approved and they went road racing. 90% of the cars went road racing. Very few back then were sold as street-driven cars.
How did your love affair with the Corvair begin?
I joined the National Corvair Club in 1965 and went to my first convention right outside of Philadelphia. Still have pictures of the cars and my daughters who were about that tall. Just amazing.
Was a Yenko Stinger the holy grail for you when it came to collecting Corvairs?
Yes, I had searched for one for years. I did find 1 or 2 that were really, really bad. I mean, I was willing to restore a car, but they're rare. But I always look at the serial number 1 to 100s as it. I don't know how many of the red and blues are left.
We moved on to Denver for our next event, and that's where we found Charles Kermis and his 65.
This is a 1965 Corvair, not a Corvette, and it's a Monza with the Corsa option of all the accoutrements of tacks and pressure gauges and large steering wheel and 8-track that was offered in 65. And I picked it up 8 years ago when my son said I needed a hobby after search and rescue volunteering. The only thing that I did with the car was just fix up the interior, hand stitched, put in a little fuel pump that we need at this beautiful altitude here in Colorado to get it up over the mountains, and a couple of nice Coker Redline tires, and that's it. Nothing else is being done, and it's 18 years old in the paint.
Now, Corvairs don't usually have anything under the boot, but yours does. What an amazing collection that is.
Yes, one of the things that I like is I restore vinyl records, and I like to restore old historical documents. So for the time that I've owned it, I've been looking on eBay and anywhere I can find tools that were used to sell the car. What's fun at the Chevy show is that I'm able to show young kids and also us old folk how cars were sold through the documentation that I've collected, whether they be the original sales books, as well as film strips and records that taught salespeople how to sell against the various different competitors that were making cars in those days, including manuals and ads. So that's nice to maintain the legacy and the history that can be passed down generation to generation, and it's a lot of fun.
One footnote, that car was once owned by Hollywood legend Omar Sharif. No joke. Here's another fabulous find from Denver. It's Terry Waldrop's 66 Chevelle, winner of the OPGI Original Award at Bandimere Speedway.
Terry, this car is beautiful. How long have you had it?
Yeah, I've had it since 1973. It's my high school car. It was about 7 years old whenever I bought it. Actually, I bought it from a friend of mine, and he bought it, and then I bought it from him, and then we traded back and forth a couple of different times on it, and then I wound up with it. So, very interesting tale about the car.
But it hasn't been in this condition since 1973. Tell me the story about that.
We just finished this. It's been about 2 years in June. And me and my son and some friends got it all tore down and just did a ground-up restoration on it in my garage. You know, we just cleaned everything up on it and just had a lot of fun doing it. You know, it's set for a lot of years, and people wanted to buy it. It's like, now I'm going to hang on to it. And we'll get it done one day, and finally this is the finished product.
What is under the hood?
It is a 409-inch small block Chevrolet. It's got a bunch of different race parts that we had in my son's Camaro, and we just took all that, and it makes about 614 horse, and it's quite fun.
Aside from the power plant, how important was it for you to keep this car looking original?
Very important. That's what I really wanted, was to make it look, new, but I wanted to keep it looking original, and I think we've done that. It's got a different hood on it, but it's still pretty much the original look to it. Put big brakes all the way around it. This car came with drum brakes all the way around before, so it makes a big difference in the way it stops. So I thought that was a big deal, that we keep it almost all original.
Do you have plans to race it?
No. My son wants to race it. I'm like, I'd rather just cruise it and just enjoy it on the street.
And when you want to keep it looking original, Original Parts Group is the place to go. Terry says he loves the quick service and great advice he gets when he uses OPGI.com. You're getting a close-up look at some of 2018's greatest hits. Just around the corner, a magnificent muscle car from 1969 and a terrific truck from the fabulous 50s. This ride is not over yet, so come on back for more of the best of the Menards Chevy Show, presented by Original Parts Group.
Menards Chevy Show is brought to you by Performance Unlimited, your great engine experts, building your dream and ours one engine at a time. Willwood Disc Brakes, high-performance disc brakes and brake components. Exalta Coating Systems, we paint winners. And by Original Parts Group, the world's largest source for GMA body parts and accessories.
Welcome back to the best of the Menards Chevy Show from 2018, presented by Original Parts Group. Our next event of the year took us back to South Carolina, to Darlington Dragway. Jack Sanders brought his great 58, a classic truck at a classic track.
We see a lot of Chevy trucks from the 1950s, and this 58, it's not just an Apache, it's a rather special one. Jack Sanders is the proud owner. What makes this one unique?
In 58, all the trucks were named Apache, but this trim was the Cameo the last year for it. Built 1,405 of them in 1958, and they started building them in 55. So that makes it the only truck with two names. LS2 motor, 6-liter out of a 2006 Trailblazer SS. And it's got a 4LE60 transmission in it, so that makes it pretty good gas mileage. I get a little over 22 miles per gallon in it. I've got close to 10,000 miles on it now in 11 months.
What makes this truck so comfortable to drive long distance?
It's a Wise Guys hot rod seat, and it's comfortable. It's got electric lumbar, and I got that seat for my wife. It's air conditioning, power steering, power brakes, everything's in leather. Just can't get much more comfortable than that.
What did this truck look like when you found it?
Well, a guy was doing it as a project, and it was all black. The paint was all done, but he stopped at the rear fiberglass fenders. He didn't know what to do. That's how I bought it, and I don't like black.
Why don't you like black?
Oh, I cleaned black when I was a kid, and I hate doing it. I'm too old to clean it anymore. Silver hides dirt. That's a secret out there. Silver hides dirt. Every time I stop, it takes me 30 minutes to get filled up with gas because people go to it like a magnet.
Sounds like a good problem to have.
Oh, it's a great problem. I love it. I've wanted that truck for 35 years. I looked for one. And I finally found one after I retired from the Air Force, and lucky it had all the parts to it, and I love it.
We love it too. We also love William Baker's 69 Chevelle, winner of the OPGI Original Award at Darlington.
Tell me about this car. What kind of condition was it in when you got it?
It looked pretty much like it does now, but it just had some places in the paint didn't like, and around the vinyl top, had to do some fixing on that. And like I say, it's hard to find what I was looking for, and we found this one on the internet, and I bought it up in North Carolina.
What amazes me most about people who restore classic cars is their attention to detail. And of course, that makes OPGI an important source for parts. On this car, the headrests, cowl vent pieces, and brake booster came from their website. OPGI had an owner's manual for the car and even the original speckle paint GM used for the trunk. And how about the power plant?
It's a 350 with a 700R 4-wheel drive transmission. It's got a 308 gear in it. It's something cruising, it's nothing fast, but that's all I wanted anyway. I don't care for getting out there racing and stuff.
So this car can go, but you really built it for show. What does it mean for you to be able to get so many parts from OPGI and to be able to put them on the car yourself?
Means a lot more when you got hands-on, feel like you've done something. It's not just going and buying something that's already fixed or somebody else has already completed. I enjoy messing with cars. I used to have a 68 Chevelle back in my 20s.
Why was this the Chevelle you've always wanted?
When I was in high school, I couldn't afford what I really wanted, and I've always liked the Chevelle. 69 I like better than the 68s, but at the time I found a 68 and bought it. And then this took me 40 years to get another Chevelle after I retired.
Well, it looks like it was worth the wait. Congratulations to William Baker, winner of the OPGI Original Award. We hope you've enjoyed this look at some of the most awesome autos we've seen in 2018. We are out of time for this week, but the good news is we're doing it again next week. We'll see you then as we bring you highlights of the second half of our season. Thanks for watching, and thanks to Original Parts Group for presenting the best of the Menards Chevy Show.